For as long as I can remember, they've been telling us to enjoy it while they're young, but our days are filled with chaos and stress and cooking and endless laundry piles. Where's the time to enjoy it? Yeah, that's what I always thought too. There's so much I have to do. When do I find time for peace and joy and happiness when I barely have time to sleep? Mama, it's time to make shift happen. You can be a happy mom. If I can, you can. Trust me. I've been a mess, I've been depressed, I've been overwhelmed, I've been to the bottom of the pits, and I've risen, I've grown, I've bloomed, and it all started when I realized I didn't have to anything. I get to. It is my privilege and my honor and my divine responsibility to be the queen of my home. It's not a burden. I'm not a burden. I'm in charge. I'm the ruler. I'm the chaos coordinator. I'm the calm in the storm, and so are you. Come with me. Let's rise, mamas. Adjust your crown, accept your responsibility, change the effing world together. It's all in the way we choose to see it. I'm so glad you're here, friend. You're listening to Meant to Bloom with Brittany Clarkson. Hi, friend. Welcome back to Meant to Bloom. It's Brittany here. I'm so happy to see you or to have you listening in. I'm just happy to be in your energy. I'm really glad you're here. So this last year was our first experience with formal education. I'd always, air quotes, homeschooled my kids through preschool, which basically consisted of coloring and occasional activities, story time at the library, and watching a ton of number blocks, which, oh my goodness, can I get number blocks to sponsor me? Sorry, I'm moving my microphone. Number blocks. Seriously, my 6-year-old and my 5-year-old can both do simple multiplication because of number blocks. I did not teach them that. I did not work with them. I did not enforce this behavior. They found number blocks. They liked it. They're into numbers. They're nerds. I love it. I really feel confident that I do not have to worry about them struggling with math, which is really cool. But anyways, I know how smart my kids are because I hear them. They tell me all the time, 3 threes is 9. And, they always tell me all these things they know. They're really excited to learn. And I really love that. And I didn't have to force that, which is really beautiful. Honestly, I got busy and sidetracked. I really meant to work with them a whole lot more with preschool. And I didn't. And I'm glad that I didn't because I spent that time instead where I would have been doing that. I spent that energy pouring into you. Pouring into the podcast, into creating courses, into perfecting my planner. My gosh, I'm in love with my planners that I've made. They have come such a long way, and I am so proud of them. And I'm really excited for the new release of the newest, latest version that might be absolutely perfect and never need adjusted again. I'm not sure. Give me your feedback. I'd love to hear. I really do. I love making them better and more perfect for you and what you need. For me, I think they're perfect at this point. So let's see if you guys love them too. Let me know. I really, really appreciate the feedback. But anyways, I'm glad I spent my time pouring into that because it was a lot more fulfilling than trying to force homeschooling on my kids. And they did just fine. They played, they learned, they watched really educational stuff on TV. I'm so proud of exactly where we're at. And yeah, there were some times where they didn't watch educational stuff on TV. They were watching some crazy stuff on YouTube Kids. Five Nights at Freddy's is insane, right? Have your kids found that yet? Why is that on YouTube Kids? I don't know, but we're not overly sheltering the kids. We're letting them be exposed to things that are maybe a little bit creepy and scary. They're turning out okay, I think. I think they're doing all right. Anyways, so yeah, this last school year was our first experience with formal education. My oldest went to kindergarten. And I was originally, from the beginning, just going to homeschool. But when I realized that I wasn't really showing up for homeschool preschool, I made huge curriculums. Oh my gosh, my curriculum was fantastic. It was all from things I already had or free resources online. And I made this really perfect fall curriculum for them 2 years ago. And we never did it. We did the first lesson and then we did not continue. Um, because I didn't really write the curriculum for me and my family and how me and my kids learn. It was a fantastic curriculum. It was a lot of fun to write it. I'm glad I did it. I don't regret taking the time to do that. Um, but it was so themed, like every single week it was themed leading into the holidays. We started fall with a ton of apples and, learning how an apple tree works and then reading a book that, 10 apples up on top or whatever. Like it was all super cute and well planned. And because we didn't have this structure already in our lives where every day we would, sit and read and we would do these things, it just never really happened. We did a few of the things, like field trips and family days out to the pumpkin patch and all that. But the curriculum I didn't stick to it because it wasn't written for the type of person that I was. It was a perfectly ideal curriculum, but it was not what was going to work for us. Okay, so yeah, when school time rolled around for my oldest to go to kindergarten, his therapist suggested we should put him in school because every time he hangs out with someone else outside of school, it was always younger kids. I was in this mom group, and it was a fantastic group. I love the women in it, but it wasn't the greatest thing for my oldest kid because all the other kids that showed up were younger than him. Very rarely were there older kids who could set a really good example for him of like, hey, we're 5. This is how 5-year-olds act. We're, different than the 3-year-olds. We don't behave the same and interact the same as they do. So, my kid kind of needed that example for him. So his therapist is like, you should just put him in school, give him the socialization with kids his age and the peer pressure of like, we follow in line and, how to take these directions from a teacher and stuff. And he learned a lot of those things and it was really great. But school we discovered was not the best fit for him. And when I say we tried on all the shoes, we did. And we loved them. We absolutely loved all the shoes we tried on, but they didn't fit right. And it's got to fit right, Doesn't matter how much you love a shoe. If it doesn't fit right, it's going to cause problems later on. And yeah, it's a metaphor, of course, for schools. He had the most fantastic teachers. I loved his teachers. And if you ladies are listening, or if anyone knows who his teachers were from my personal life, I highly recommend them. They're wonderful, wonderful ladies that he had in his life. And I'm so glad that he had their kind hearts looking out for him all the time. It was beautiful to watch someone else care for my kid. From the heart. That was beautiful to see. And I'm glad I got that experience. Because my kid can act out. He can act a little bit different. If you've got a neurodivergent kid, you understand, sometimes they behave in a way where you think only a mom can love them. And then to see another grown person love them, or to see other kids in their class love them through their difficult times, it was really beautiful to see. And I think him going to school gave a great opportunity to a lot of people. And it was a good opportunity to him too. But here's what the biggest takeaways are at the end of the year. Now that he did the first half of the year, he was in a private school. The second half of the year, he was in a public school. This following year, we're doing a charter school that involves homeschooling. So I will be homeschooling him, but under the supervision of a charter school teacher. And he will also have charter school enrichment classes to go to that are less hours, less days. Seriously, it's 1 day a week for 3 hours. But then he'll also have the opportunity of field trips and, the school puts on all of the festivals and all that stuff that we'll be able to go to. So it's he doesn't miss out, but we still get to do the home education for him. And here's the thing, is that when it comes down to why I think this is going to be the best for him is because he spent a lot of hours in school. He really did. And he kind of thrived on a modified schedule where he only went for half a day. I picked him up after lunch because it just got to be too much for him. He gets so easily overwhelmed, and so do I. Like, I'm realizing so many things in him that are like, I'm the same way. I just have been coping with it for 30 years. Like, I figured out how to live with that anxiety, whereas 6-year-old doesn't know how to live with that anxiety yet. This is so abnormal to him. And you know what? I don't want anxiety to be normal for him. I don't want him to constantly be in situations where he is anxious. If we have the capability of modifying what he's going through to remove some of his triggers, to help him take things easier, to help him live a life that he actually enjoys living, then why not? I mean, as adults, we try to do that for ourselves, right? We seek peace and ease and joy. And I want that for my kid. And so watching from the outside, giving it a whole year, what it really came down to was that I had to look at how he interacts in these situations, what's working for him and what doesn't. And, most of the schools want your kids in school for like 7 hours a day, and that's a lot for him. And here's the thing is he can learn in 1 hour what they would teach him in 7. So why spend all day in these stressful situations where there's other people around? He gets social anxiety. And, we saw that a lot on recess too, is when there's a lot of kids, he withdraws and he doesn't want to be involved. And guess what? I do the same thing. I passed up a lot of job opportunities growing up when I was a young adult because in the job description and whatnot, they said the interview would be a group interview. And I was self-aware enough to know if I'm in a group, I'm not going to talk. I'm going to clam up. I'm going to think my voice means less than anyone else's voice in that room. Or if I do start talking, I'm going to start flubbing my words and I'm going to start tripping over what I'm trying to say because I'm so nervous to have all these eyes on me and all these people paying attention to me. And it took a lot for me to work through things like that to be in a point where I can speak up in a group of people. And I'm still not comfortable with it. But it took a lot to overcome that crippling fear that I could not do it. And my kid is the type, you cannot read aloud in class. Neither could I. I mean, popcorn reading, I was like, if you call on me, I will never speak to you again. If you popcorn this reading to me, I do not want to read in front of people. And so I know what my kid is going through when he has social anxiety. I get it. And if I can give him his education without putting him around other people, without having him to fight the social anxiety to learn what he's trying to learn, then yeah, that's the best solution for our family. And I've seen him, we recently moved to this new house and we have a new neighbor who's got a 6-year-old kid. My kid has had conversations with him. He's seen him 2 times in his life. And my kid has already had a one-on-one, like back and forth conversation with this kid, which is monumental for him because he's not a big talker. There are people in his life who have never heard him talk. His teachers very rarely ever heard him talk. He would not talk to teachers, but they did overhear him occasionally talking to other kids in class. And I hope you didn't hear my stomach just now. Wow, I've got the grumblies. I need to go take care of myself and eat. But my kid learns easily. And my kid can have conversations with one-on-one people. And he also hates workbooks. He hates worksheets. So if I was looking from the outside and I didn't understand what he was going through, it could look like he was a bad student. It could look like he was not very smart. It could look like he was really struggling with education. But he's not. It's because he doesn't want to do the worksheets because he doesn't see the point in proving he knows what he knows because he already knows it. And he, just doesn't get that concept of like, I am filling this out for you to show you that I know it. So you can know that you did your job. He doesn't quite get that concept. And it's been interesting because it's really flipped my mindset on how I view situations from my past. Because I remember kids in class behaving the way he behaves. I remember them not doing their workbooks. And I remember the thoughts I had about those kids. They were not nice thoughts. They were not compassionate. They were not understanding. I thought these kids weren't very smart. I thought these kids were really annoying to be and like rude to be disrupting class. Now, on the other side, now that I realize I felt the same way they felt, I just coped differently. When I got nervous, I got quiet instead of acting out in it. My energy always imploded in me instead of exploding out. And I thrived on showing the teachers what I knew. I loved doing workbooks. I still like to fill out forms. Like my husband always saves all the paperwork for me because he's like, I know you like to fill out forms. I'm like, I do. I really do. I don't know why writing my name and address and social security number over and over again feels like some sort of sense of fulfillment in me. And I think it's that people pleasing of let me tell you what you want to know. So I had that. Whereas I know my kid does not have that. My kid doesn't care if you know what he knows. He's like, I know it. That's good enough for me. I don't have to tell you that I know all my ABCs. I can read a book by myself, but I'm not going to read it to you. You're a grown adult. You go read the book. It's just a different. He doesn't have a people pleaser tendency. He doesn't implode on himself. But he's experiencing all the same things I experienced as a kid. And it's led me to know a lot about myself. And it's led me to learn a lot about him. And it's led me to so much compassion for other people and other kids to understand, like, wow, when you do something that feels triggering to me, it's because you're feeling extremely triggered right now. And I'm just wondering how many times could this apply to your life? How many times could you pause and think, wow, that person's going through something that must be really hard because they don't know how to cope with those feelings. And that's what I learned from my kid's first year in school. Thanks for joining me, friend. I'm really glad you were here. Sorry if this took a long, twisted tangent for you. I'm really glad you were here to listen to it. And I hope that as you're thinking about what schools to put your kids in, what to do, whether you should homeschool or private school or public school or charter school, just know every kid is different. And yeah, it's not always convenient to put different kids in different schools, but don't feel bad if you have to. I know so many parents who have kids in different schools because that's where the kid thrives. And it's all about, where is this kid going to thrive? What's going to be best for them? What are they capable of coping with? It's food for thought, something to think about. I love you so much, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of Meant to Bloom. It really does mean the world to me. But are you ready to take this a step farther? Check out the description below of this episode and grab your mindset makeover. It's totally free, my gift to you. Then hop on Instagram and let me know what you thought of this episode. Tag me at Britt Clarkson, that's BritClarkson. If any part of this resonated with you, please let me know by tagging me or leave a review and share on social media so other mamas can find this too. If it helped you, it's going to help someone else. You're part of a movement now. Let's go.